In a small village, there lived a merchant named William. He was kind and hardworking, but over the years he fell into a large debt. The man he owed money to was Richard, a greedy and cruel moneylender. Richard was known for being heartless, especially when people couldn't pay him back. One day, Richard gathered the villagers and went to William's house. He knocked on the door loudly and called out, "William, it's time to pay back the money you owe me." William opened the door, his face pale with worry. He had no money left to repay Richard. "Please give me more time, I can't pay right now," William said, his voice shaking. Richard smiled, seeing William's fear. "I have a way to clear your debt," Richard said loudly, making sure the whole village could hear. "I'll forgive all the money you owe me, but only if you let me marry your daughter Evelyn." The villagers gasped. Everyone knew how cruel Richard was, and no one wanted sweet Evelyn to marry him. William felt his heart sink. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't pay back the debt, but he also didn't want his daughter to marry a man like Richard. Inside the house, Evelyn overheard everything. She was a smart and brave young woman. She loved her father deeply and couldn't stand to see him so helpless. So, she stepped outside, her face calm, though she was thinking fast. Richard, seeing her, grinned. "Well, Evelyn, what do you say? Marry me and your father's debt will disappear." Evelyn looked Richard in the eye. "Let's make it fair," she said, her voice steady even though her heart was beating fast. "We'll play a simple game." Richard raised an eyebrow, surprised. "What kind of game?" Evelyn explained. "You will put 2 stones into a bag, one white and one black. I will pick one stone without looking. If I pick the white stone, my father's debt is forgiven and I won't have to marry you. But if I pick the black stone, I will marry you, and the debt will still be forgiven." Richard smiled even wider. He loved this idea. It looked fair, but he knew he would win. "All right," he said, confident. He bent down and, without anyone noticing, put 2 black stones into the bag. He was sure no one saw his trick, but Evelyn noticed. She saw him put 2 black stones in the bag, but she didn't say anything. She had a plan. The villagers were silent, waiting to see what would happen. Evelyn reached into the bag, felt the stones and pulled one out, but just as she took it out, she accidentally dropped it on the ground. The stone rolled away, lost among the other stones. "Oh no," Evelyn said, pretending to be upset. "I dropped the stone. Now we won't know if I picked the black or white stone." Richard's smile disappeared. He hadn't expected this. "How will we know what you picked?" he asked, trying to stay calm. Evelyn smiled softly. "It's simple," she said. "Just look at the stone that's left in the bag. If it's black, then I must have picked the white stone." The villagers nodded. It made sense to them. Richard, now nervous, had no choice but to take the remaining stone out of the bag. It was black. The villagers cheered, thinking that Evelyn had picked the white stone. Richard was trapped by his own trick. He had to forgive the debt, and Evelyn didn't have to marry him. As the villagers began to leave, William hugged his daughter with tears in his eyes. "How did you think of that?" he asked, full of relief. Evelyn smiled and said, "Sometimes, Father, you don't have to follow the rules. You just need to know how to change them to your advantage." Life often puts us in situations where others may try to take advantage of our weakness or desperation. But the key to overcoming such challenges is not by simply accepting the situation or letting others control your fate. Instead, it's about staying calm, observing closely, and using your intelligence to turn the tables. Don't let anyone exploit your circumstances. Be strategic, think ahead, and find a way out. Just like in the story, even when things seem unfair or impossible, there is always a way to protect yourself if you stay smart and composed. Remember, being kind doesn't mean being a victim, and being calm doesn't mean being powerless. Know when and how to stand up for yourself without giving others a chance to take advantage of you. At last, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this.